Well, hey everybody, it's Jessica, the leader of CPMS, the support group, and I run the School of Perimenopause. This is my third annual fall conference, and we've just had amazing speakers. This year has been better than ever. I really want to thank our speakers for coming out and doing great presentations and really hitting all of the markers that I really wanted to make sure that we discussed in detail. And everyone had the holistic side of things, which was really interesting because we didn't actually talk about that when I met with them about talking at the conference and doing a presentation. They all just spontaneously came up with that. They all had the same kind of values that I do, and presented the areas that they've been working in and how they've been helping women in perimenopause and postmenopause. So I've got something really special set up for you today. If you don't know me, and you probably do if you got the conference, I am a certified yoga therapist with over 250 hours of different trainings. I've been doing yoga myself since I was probably about 30 years. And I've worked with a Swami, meditation leaders, different teachers in Calgary and online in New York. And it's been quite a journey through health. I really wanted to get into the therapeutic side of things because the exercise side, now I'm going to talk about exercise and I recommend exercise and I exercise. I actually had a personal training session this morning with my weight trainer. Um, but I didn't want to teach an exercise class. So I took my yoga teacher training further and really studied the human body. I did anatomy, physiology, pathologies, and even psychology at the university level and learned a lot that way. However, I was shocked to find there was like a paragraph about female menstruation, and menopause was in that little blurb, basically just saying some people have some issues during menopause that could look like hot flashes. I was really disappointed. I was really disappointed that that was all they had. And so I've taken my training further. And most recently, I did the beautiful hormones class with Sarah Sazal. She's gone back to her maiden name. And you might know her as Sarah Gottfried. She is an author and one of the top docs in America working with women and hormones. A lot of the things that I'm going to talk about today are from my own personal experience and also from things that I've seen work with the clients that I've been working with on one-on-one sessions since I started doing that in 2019. So I'm going to start my sharing of my screen and then I can't see anything in the chat or so it's kind of limiting. I can't let anybody in late. So I'm sorry if you did try to get in late because I'm not able to do that and also present. I don't have anybody here to help me with the admin. So sharing my screen, you should all be able to see the slideshow. So we're going to start from the beginning and go through the presentation. So the ticket that you hold for the conference means that, everybody who's presenting has put a lot of time and energy into their presentation. And if you have questions, we're all open to taking questions and talking to you directly as much as we possibly can. We're talking about brain fog, sleep issues, and anxiety, and why those subjects is because in our group, that's what came up as again and again the most troubling concern: brain fog, sleep issues, and anxiety, which I find interesting because if you talk to anybody about menopause or perimenopause, they'll probably talk about hot flashes. So this is not a substitute for talking to your doctor, your nurses, your pharmacist. This isn't a medical presentation for you to go, oh, I'm just going to do all the things she suggested because they may or may not work for you. It's always important to make sure that you talk to your doctor before and get cleared for exercise, or if you're going to change your diet, like if you do decide to do a gram per pound of protein. You might want to talk to your doctor about that if you've got anything going on with your digestion or your kidneys, for example, right? Make sure that you're safe. I do talk about supplements here. I'm talking about supplements that I personally have used and that I am using or that I have helped other women to pick for their own personal use. And then each individual person makes that choice and takes that risk of taking that supplement. Everything that I choose to work with, though, is one ingredient and really simple, and you know it's working or it's not, and then you dump it if it doesn't work. This is from my personal experience. So just keep that in mind, right? Like, oh, it didn't work for me. Yeah, that's sometimes that happens. But if we do private sessions, I can help you much, much more. All right, that's my fancy picture that I spent a lot of money and I got really good headshots done this year. So this is what we're doing, and you can join the School of Perimenopause. Now, there are other lectures from different years, the first year, the second year. They are also available when you join the School of Perimenopause. So I would recommend that you do that. It's a really nice, easy monthly subscription. And if you join Gold, I believe there's 138 items now at the School of Perimenopause that will really, all of them are things that I use with my clients all the time, and classes and presentations like this that are designed for specific concerns that we have in perimenopause. Safe space ground rules. So this is just something I want everyone to consider in general. Before you speak, is it thoughtful? Is it honest? Is it intelligent? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Sometimes you can't, help yourself and some things need to be said. But in general, if you put it through this filter, a lot of times you'll decide not to bother saying those things. And kindness is essential for anybody working with me. And if you are not kind, you are immediately removed from the group or from the school. So the truth is, we can be surrounded by people and somehow feel alone. In our real day-to-day lives, I find there's a lot of avoidance of talking about menopause. Women will tell me their symptoms, and their symptoms are of perimenopause, but they won't admit that it's menopause or that it's perimenopause related, or they end up going down a crazy rabbit hole about what to do and the medications and all of those things. Um, you can join the group. CPMS is hard to get into though. Like if your profile is a little young, we won't let you in. And we have a very vigorous kind of committee that looks at all of the applicants to come in, and you can join the School of Perimenopause a lot easier. There are less people in there, but right now we have about 4 million women in Canada dealing with these symptoms, and they interfere with the quality of your life. So that's where the online forum gives women the chance to get together and talk about what's going on. And even though you might think, what does this have to do with any of it? It has to do with community, and community actually now is being shown to be a huge part of someone's health journey. The more we can lean on each other, share our stories, talk about what we've tried, what's worked for us, the better we'll all feel. So even though I am your peer, I'm also an author, a teacher, leader, and I am, I don't know, fingers crossed, I'm almost done. I'm almost into postmenopause. I can't wait now. It's been a long time that I've been dealing with a lot of these things, and they are coming around. So that's one thing that we need to keep reminding each other and ourselves. Perimenopause is a transition. For 80% of us, we will feel better after we move past the postmenopause date. So we have our menopause date, that's 1 year with no menstruation. Somewhere in that postmenopause time, we start to feel better again. So in the meantime, I've had extensive experience with these top 3 issues: brain fog, sleep issues, and anxiety. These are top 3 issues for me, myself personally, and for all of the clients that I've had. They may or may not come up as like they don't always show up as brain fog as the worst thing, but almost always it's either sleep or anxiety or brain fog that is the worst symptom for them. So I've helped a lot of people with this, and I'm going to share everything that I've known. You're getting like a backseat pass to everything that I've done in the last few years. Okay, so I've been using Canva, which I actually really love because making pictures or finding pictures I always found like pretty stressful to make sure that I find something that makes sense and that is good, but that isn't necessarily going to, be a copyright infringement in some way. So I designed all of these myself, so I don't have to worry about that. We're going to look at three case studies as in three different people. So what I've done is I've kind of done a conglomerate of the people that I've worked with, and I've put them into like that box of the stubborn brain fog. So what I've done for myself and others, and we're calling her Anna, A for Anna. And then case study number two, the sleep issues. So how you deal with the sleep issues, it's not really instinctual. We think that you just lay there and then eventually you'll fall back asleep. And that cannot happen sometimes. For a lot of us, we just lay there and we don't fall back asleep and we get more and more upset. So I talk about lifestyle supplements and prescription options. So not that I'm saying you have to take prescriptions. I'm just making sure that we're covering the basis for what Barb wants. Barb is ready at 45. She's not sure if it's related to menopause, but she's ready to feel better. Case number three is sudden anxiety. So sudden anxiety, I find in perimenopause and menopausal women, it really does seem to happen overnight. All of a sudden, the phone rings and you're startling. Or, you wake up and you have this sense of doom, like something horrible is about to happen. Or you suddenly start to get heart palpitations. And it's really scary, especially if you haven't ever had anxiety before. We talk about how to cope and specific actions to take. And we're using Carol as a post-menopausal woman. So a lot of people will ask me about the ages, what to expect, and it's 52. That's the average age, but that means that some of us will stop at 42 and some of us will stop at 62, right? It's an average. And each person is a little bit different. Similar to getting your period, it's sometimes known as reverse puberty. So then we talk about putting it all together and what exactly a care plan is, how that works, and how to advocate for yourself, because that's going to be tough, right? For some people in some circumstances, it's not easy and also not instinctual. So case study number one, stubborn brain fog. So when you first have brain fog, I remember standing in my kitchen being like, why am I here? What is going on? I work from home. So it's not unusual for me to just be taking a trip into the kitchen, but it was very strange for me to have no idea why I was there. So I just started opening cupboards. And then all of a sudden I realized that it was brain fog, that I was having brain fog. And I felt pretty bad for some of my friends who had tried over the years to tell me about their brain fog because I was like, yeah, brain fog, that doesn't sound fun. But I didn't realize how difficult it is to get anything done, to do anything with brain fog. It's like you're pushing the boulder up a mountain. So this is Anna. I decided to make different avatars for our case studies. Main symptom is brain fog, which sounds funny, but it's not funny. And you may think you're having dementia and you're not having dementia. It's very unlikely that you're having dementia. If you're really worried about dementia or, memory loss in general, go and ask your doctor to do one of the cognitive tests. Your family doctor can do a cognitive test. You can ask a psychologist. You can do a cognitive function test. You can also do I went and did a full psychological assessment because I wanted to know exactly what was going on with my learning style and my dyslexia and what had changed. I was wondering about ADHD. And I'm really glad that I did that because I know exactly what's happening. Your brain is not broken. If it's bothering at all, anything that's bothering you, that's the rule of thumb, right? When people ask me, should I go talk to my doctor? It's like, dude, you're asking me, go talk to your doctor. If you don't like your doctor, ask around, see if your friends know somebody, ask the pharmacist, ask the person at the Walmart doing the Walmart greeting. Honestly, talk to everybody until you find someone. that you can talk to. I've even had women just go in and talk to a walk-in doctor because they're usually young and hip. One thing you can do is also try go to the university if you have a university near you. They have usually young hip doctors, and you know there's a way around it. You just have to fight for it, which is really hard if you're having trouble focusing and concentrating. And that's where having someone like me working with you really makes a difference, because if you didn't do it, the next time I see you in 3 weeks, I'm going to be saying, well, did you go? Well, you didn't. Okay, that's on your homework again for the next time. And it does motivate you to get things done. There's a lot that we can do for brain fog. It does resolve, but it isn't it isn't like something you can ignore. It's very pervasive. It goes through all areas of your life, and it's difficult to manage, and it can be very scary, especially if you really forget everything that you're working on or have trouble getting your work done. That was really hard for me. So, pathways to managing your brain fog. So, there are different ways to think about it. These are all things that have nothing to do with medication, okay? The first one is getting up and moving your body. And people say to me, like, oh, da da da. And here's another reason. And I don't like sweating, and I don't like going to the gym, and I don't like being in public, and I don't like wearing sweatpants, and I don't like all of whatever and the timing. And there's so many, and you're not making it up. It's all true. But when we get into our heads about it like that, we make it a lot harder than it has to be. Try walking, go to the gym and just go on the treadmill. Nature hikes are excellent, especially if you can get a friend to go with you. Dancing feels really good and it's always fun. And if you do it at home, you don't have to worry about being good at it. I love the rowing machine. Really easy, good for cardio, works the upper body, gets all the joints moving, but there's no pressure on the joints. Excellent exercise. And riding your bike is also good for balance. So one of the things I'll say is, like, what did you do when you were 12? Like, think about the summer when you were 12 and you were hanging out with your friends. What were you doing? No, we went swimming and we rode our bikes down to the lake, and, do those things, revisit those things. And I have found that is a really successful way to get people moving again. Where even one of the clients that I had who wasn't exercising at all when we first started working together, she was having trouble even leaving her house. She started weight training. She hired a personal trainer after we were done. We did our 6 months together, and she's doing amazing now. Um, so more along the lines of movement is medicine, there is something called tapping, and tapping is like light clapping, right? So you're not like clapping your guts out and you're not hurting yourself and you're not hitting yourself hard. You're just tapping. Think of it like tap, tap, tap. Tapping the body really wakes you up. It wakes your whole nervous system up, and it gets your energy flowing. Like, even those few little taps, my hands are tingling and I feel a little bit more awake than I did before. If you're worried about like doing it wrong or you want some guidance for that, you can look at the EFT. It's emotional freedom technique. There's some talking and tapping involved. There's lots of videos. I love was her Jennifer Harmony. She's amazing. I love her stuff. I actually subscribe to her on YouTube. Very worth it. Energy medicine. Energy medicine is another factor where I think it's Donna Eden. She has a bunch of classes that are available online. And then for those of you who like to just keep it simple, it's about bouncing in rhythm. So you find a rhythm and you're bouncing, 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 and then you tap to that rhythm. So it doesn't have to be fast. You can take your time. And a really simple rule of thumb is just try and tap the whole body. Down one side, up the other, across the chest, and then the underside of the other. And now I've done the arms and the chest, right? Keep it simple. It doesn't really have to be complicated at all, but it does make a huge difference. And this has been shown. It's a big part of Dawn Yoga, something that I studied. This a Korean yoga with Ilchi Lee, and it's been shown to improve your brain function. It's no joke. This one people forget about, like uplifting music. So the reason why I said uplifting is because for you as the person, the listener, Like you may love The Phantom of the Opera, right? It's a story, it's interesting, it's got a lot of stuff going on, it's compelling, and it gets you thinking, it's cerebral for you. That's not necessarily uplifting, right? Think of it more like, I like to move it. Uplifting, whatever you find uplifting, whatever brings up your mood. That's what you want to listen to. And then the reason why this can really work for brain fog is because our musical memories are stored in multiple places of the brain. I'm also a musician and I have some background in music therapy. And what happens is when we're reactivating that memory because we're listening to that song, our whole brain lights up, not just one area, not just whatever it is we're doing right now. And it reactivates that memory. So, like, here's an example of my dad where I think he was 92 birthday in the middle of being locked into his room, had hardly done anything for 2 years. Um, and he wanted to have a party. So we booked a show and I hired a piano player to be him. And then he came along and I thought maybe once he got in the room, he might want to play the piano, and he did. And then I let him pick the song that he wanted to play, and he played like nothing had ever happened, you guys. Nothing had ever happened. And he had not played the piano like properly with other musicians in probably 2 years, other than me, other than playing with me and my husband. And then he wanted to play another song. He played two songs. And then he started playing a little melody idea that he had for his second great granddaughter, who he had hardly had the chance to spend any time with. But that was because she was born in 2020. And if that can happen, like music is a miracle, you guys. So we forget about that. We kind of take music for granted, especially things like Spotify now, where we can just like have it at our fingertips and don't even really think about it anymore. Put some thought into what you like and pick something that's going to bring up your mood. Something that you maybe used to study to would be excellent. Like any kind of, it's like for movies that you loved, the soundtrack of that movie, try listening to something like that. It's going to wake you up. It's going to get the brain functioning better. And then the other thing is to keep calm. I see this all the time and in myself as well, right? Oh, where's my pen? Where's my pen? Where's my pen? And then I start to get worked up. I can't find my pen. Why is my pen gone? Where did my pen go? And the more upset I get about where this pen is, the less likely I am to remember where I put my pen. But or when I'm talking to someone and I stumble, I've stumbled a few times on my words here. If I stumble on a word and I get obsessed or worried about that, or I focus on that, mess up that word again. Now another word, now another word. And now I'm really upset. So try and take it in stride, right? Nobody else is like, oh, she slightly mispronounced that word, you know, or she can't remember a word. I'll just talk around it until the word comes back. And or sometimes play a little game. Is it about this? Is it about that? Is it about this? Is it, and then it'll come back. And anytime you do that, um, that's why this probably goes against like the common feeling right now is don't ask Google everything. Don't ask Chat GPT everything. Think about it for a little while. What was the name of that movie? Think about it first. If you really can't remember, then go ahead and look. But try and remember who starred in that movie or what year it was put out, and try and remember details around it, because part of what's happening for our brain function in general, in society in general, is that we're not using our brain anymore. We're listening to audiobooks instead of actually reading it. Nothing wrong with audiobooks, but reading it is different. The information comes into the mind in a different way. And, so it's like a tool, it's like a muscle. You have to use it or you will lose it. So just because you have brain fog, don't give up on yourself. And also pay attention to what time of day it's better or worse, because I notice I have more in the morning and then by mid-afternoon, it's pretty good. So you can plan your activities somewhat in that way as well. All right, here's a supplement option. So, you saw the medical disclaimer at the beginning. I am not giving you medical advice and I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you about things that have worked for me and my clients. So proceed with cautions. This mushroom is a powerful medicine. It's a mushroom though, right? And we could have an allergic reaction to it, or we could have even just a slight irritation to the stomach, the lining of the stomach. Um, anything can really happen with this, and it's not likely. I like these two because they've been tested extensively, and lion's mane was tested on seniors, and changa was tested on cancer patients. So these are like populations where they don't mess around. They don't give you stuff that they think is going to make you worse. And, it's because that would be medically irresponsible, right? So those are why I think these are potentially really good choices. Um, our first one, lion's mane, is my favorite ever. I love lion's mane. It works even for dementia care patients. Now, I wasn't really into it before my dad became really sick with dementia, so we never really experimented with it, which is too bad, but that's just how it happened. But that was compelling for me. The fact that it worked on dementia care patients really made me think, there must be something here to the mushrooms. It only works while you're taking it, though. So it's not the kind of thing where you can take it for 2 or 3 days and notice a difference, or it's going to build up in your system and be there for a while. This is something that you take every morning. I like to rotate because that's the other thing I don't like about mushroom blends is, for example, I can't take, is it reishi? Yeah, because I have stomach upset immediately as soon as I take that. And if you look at a lot of the blends, that's one of the main ingredients in one of the mushroom blends. And if you started to take that, you might think, oh, I can't take any mushrooms, when really you can't tolerate the reishi. But you can tolerate the changa and the lion's mane, or just the changa, or just the lion's mane, or just the reishi. So you need to have that awareness of what you're taking before you would go for a blend. Nothing wrong with taking a blend. Their idea with the blend in general is that we're going to hit as much as we possibly can and hope that most of it works. That doesn't really work. I don't love that. I like to know what I'm taking, and I like to know how much I need for it to work. So right now, actually, I've been doing both of them for the last few weeks to see if that helps me at all. And it's and also because my Changa is going to expire, so I want to make sure that I use it up. I prefer the powder. I take a quarter of a teaspoon, so that's actually not very much at all. I like to put it in my coffee and stir it. If you don't like that idea, you can use tinctures. There's a few different brands that you can try. Uh, the Gut Labs does make a lion's mane tincture. I haven't tried that one. I've been using Harmonic Arts for the lion's mane, and I found a BC company, and now I can't remember the name of it, for the Changa that's actually been quite good. The reason I like the Changa is because it's been shown to help with cancer patients. Like, what is cancer? Cancer is the cell dividing and having a mutation and then continuing to divide and divide and divide with this mutation until you end up with cancer. Changa actually helps with the cellular division. So it's pretty compelling what's happening in your brain, right? Cells are dying, cells are being created, and neurons are having to fire. And this, I feel, these are the best two for brain function, as far as my experience and the clients I've worked with. So let's talk a little bit about estrogen, because people always want to know, like, which one is the jerky hormone in this case, right? And like, we don't want to vilify hormones. We love hormones. We need hormones. They make the world go around. It's all about humanity, and reproduction wouldn't happen without them. Your brain needs estrogen to behave properly, to function correctly. So we can get kind of, you know, well, I'm having brain fog, so therefore I need estrogen. Well, I had really bad brain fog, but if you'd added estrogen into my treatment plan at that time, it would have made me better in some ways and sicker in others, because I had low progesterone, which we'll talk about in a bit. So think about it as you need the right balance. So if you're post-menopause, as in you haven't had a period in over a year, you probably do need to start, or that would be the time to add the estrogen in, and that would be likely to help you with your brain fog. And for those of you who are really tentative about hormone replacement or messing around with any of that stuff, I would invite you to check out Estrogen Matters. Estrogen Matters is an amazing book, and it's written by a PhD and a doctor, you know, and I love that they're referencing studies the whole time. And a lot of the information in the notes is really, really good for you to look up, so they tell you, right? Oh, this is from the estrogen and coronary heart disease in women study that was done by Barrett, Connor, E. Grady, the D hormone replacement therapy study. You can look it up yourself and, oh, okay, well, what is that? You want to read the study? Go ahead. It also has an excellent index at the end. So you can look at exactly. I'm just curious now if they say anything about epigenetics, because we just had a talk on that, which was exciting and wonderful, and everyone should check that out. And it doesn't. But it's one book. One book doesn't have everything in it. That's just the way it is. But if you're wondering about estrogen and if maybe you might want to consider trying it, you also should listen to the lecture that Holly did about how to, what did she call it? Is it titrate? She was talking about adding it in, but in really slow doses and taking your time to build it up to see how you're doing with it so that we're not inadvertently, messing anything else up. The general idea is no testing. And this is coming down from the Menopause Society. My personal stance on it is I don't think that's a really great idea because my own estrogen dominance showed up in the blood test. So my estrogen was creeping up, my progesterone was coming down. And then one time when my doctor checked me, my estrogen was way higher. And she called me and said, "Oh, you must be feeling really dreadful." And I was like, "No, I was feeling pretty much about the same." And she was like, "Okay, well, we're going to add some supplements and try and get that estrogen down." And then it did nothing. 3 months later, we tested again. By that time, I was feeling dreadful. And then it was time to add the progesterone. You see, if we had just been going with my symptoms, we wouldn't have known it was so serious. And that does put you at risk for potentially developing breast cancer if you have the right environment in the body at that time. So simple things to do: sleep, water, fish oil, exercise, eat a balanced diet. So by balanced diet, I mean eating what's right for your body. And that's not necessarily what's right for my body. So let's not get into a fight about who should eat what. Everybody eats what they want to eat, what they need to eat, and everybody else needs to just let them. Okay, so we're going to talk about disruptive sleep issues. Brain fog and disruptive sleep issues often come together because the less sleep you get, the less likely your brain is to function properly. Okay. So when we're looking at the sleep problems, none of this is existing in a vacuum. It's more like when I have a client come in and we identify their most troubling symptom, we work with what's going to be easiest for them to fix. It's going to give their biggest bang for their buck. And sleep often is the issue. They're not getting quality sleep. They're not getting enough sleep. They're getting disruptive sleep. They're waking up too often. So this is what I've done. We have 45-year-old female. She's not sure if it's menopause related, right? She's got gray hair, but she's not sure if it's menopause. She's probably still having a regular period. But trouble falling asleep, racing mind, heart palpitation, temperature issues, meaning you're just too hot or too cold and you can't get comfortable. You might wake up between 3 and 4 a.m. That's I call it the witching hour now. That's when our cortisol starts to rise. And we might be really stressed out when we wake up, or we might just be exhausted. We might not be able to fall asleep again, and we might decide to start our day at 4 a.m. Okay. So this is where having the 21 days to fix your sleep comes in. I have this available for everybody in the School of Perimenopause, and it goes along with my training. So as a yoga therapist, I'm trained to target particular symptoms and issues and concerns. I don't need to have a diagnosis to do that because I'm designing a program that's going to help you with this. So I was like, well, I'm having trouble with sleep. I'm just going to offer a class. I'll do a 21-day challenge because that 21 days, that 3 weeks is enough time to kind of reset what's happening for your body and your mind. But it's not like 6 months, right? It's not a long, long period of time. It only takes a half an hour a day. It doesn't even have to be done every day. You can take a day off here or there. It does work better if you do them all at once, in the 21 days, like back to back. And I have people all the time say, oh, I do yoga anyway. This is not regular yoga. This is yoga that was designed by someone who's very specific training in yoga nidra and restorative yoga. And as a yoga therapist, I learned all of the modifications. So, modification is like I say, raise your arm, and you have something going on with your shoulder. So when you raise your arm, you only raise your arm to here. You don't do it all the way to there. That's a modification. It doesn't mean you didn't raise your arm. It means you modified. And they're not instinctual, and you do need guidance to learn them. And with these ones, I've had other yoga teachers do this course with me, and they love it because you don't have to think about anything. You just show up in your PJs. I walk you through it. You follow along. And by the time you're done that 30 minutes, you want to fall asleep. Like one of my participants, her husband would make a joke that she would do her little thing, and then she would take the last 10 minutes on the iPad into the bedroom and listen to the ending because it's a laying down, relaxing, getting ready for sleep, and then take the earbuds out and be out for the night. I'm not even kidding. And this is someone who is really having trouble sleeping and feeling really unwell. Within that 21-day period, she went back to sleeping well most nights. So what most people can expect is if you've been waking up 5 nights a week, you'll wake up 2 nights a week. So you're getting more good quality deep rest, and that's without taking any pills or changing anything else. You want to go to bed at the same time. This is your sleep hygiene. Have a set time to wind down, even if it isn't the yoga. Take the time to wind down. Like reading a book is excellent. Don't look at screens. It's terrible for your sleep because every time you look at the screen, the blue light comes in and it shines on your pituitary gland and it says, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. And you don't want that. I even have my phone go to bed. I take my phone to bed around 8 o'clock every night and I put it in the kitchen downstairs or in the bathroom upstairs. So I can't hear it. I'm not going to go look at it. Otherwise, it will wake me up. Blackout curtains is one that I thought, oh, what difference is that going to make? But holy, it does really make the room feel calm and relaxing. A white noise machine. I love that white noise machine. It just gives if my mind starts going and I'm thinking about stuff, I can focus on listening to the sound of the white noise machine. Really comfortable bedding. I have a really soft blanket that I love. And earplugs. Have earplugs handy. I don't wear them every night, but if I wake up at that, witching hour, 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning, and I start to realize, okay, I'm thinking, when I put the earplugs in, I'm not getting any sensory input from the outside anymore, right? I'm not seeing anything because my eyes are closed. The room is dark. The earplugs are in, there's nothing else going on. And I am way more likely to fall back asleep and stay asleep until it's time to get up. And then boundaries. So make sure that your family knows you need that time to get ready for bed, that the ritual to get ready for bed takes time. A warm bath about an hour before sleep will tell your body to go to sleep, and that it's not negotiable. And women have a really hard time with this. I had one client who was like, but my cat, they need to be in the room with me and they need to jump in and out of the bed. And if I don't let them in, they stand outside the room and they meow. White noise machine, earplugs in, cat will get the message. Cats are not dumb and they don't need you. It's not a baby. A baby, yeah, okay. You need to be available for a baby. But for a 12-year-old can come into the room and tap you on the shoulder and say, Mommy, I threw up, right? I know it's very hard for women. We have been socialized to take our own needs and throw them in the toilet so badly. And we gotta like dig it out of that toilet. And, you know, this is my life and you are a part of it and an important part of it, but I need to sleep. Okay. So yoga, isn't that just stretching? So yoga actually means union or to yoke. Think about the two ox that are yoked together as they're pulling in the field. The Western mentality just took the exercise part, threw everything else out in the garbage. I don't want to hear anything about that. Let's just move the body and be skinny, like as you can see in my example, a bunch of skinny white girls doing yoga. That's what we like. That's what we think it is. That's not what it is. We left out the connecting the body, mind, and spirit. That's something that's involved, though. It's in part of a yoga class. When you take the yoga class, that's why you feel better when you're done. You're building strength and you're staying flexible, but you're going to meet your body's needs as you're doing this, and that will increase all of your needs being met, including your intimacy needs. A full yoga practice moves every part of the person. So it doesn't have to be complicated. Like I said, I have a 5 minute all joints. We move everything, warm up. That's part of the 21 days to fix your sleep. Super easy. You can do it any time of the day, anytime you feel stiff, and it gets everything moving, gets all of the joints moving, and then everything works better. Mindfulness is meditation. So we want to take everything apart, right? It's kind of bugs me right now where we've got all this like somatic training. It's like, it's yoga. You're talking about the body and moving the body and sensing the body breathing. This is yoga. That's pranayama. Anyway, it's all kind of in the same class, right? So meditation is a part of it, and that's why we have Shavasana. Shavasana is a tricky way to try to get Westerners to do meditation without actually telling them it's meditation, but that's what it is. What other things help with sleep? Okay, so we're going to talk about some of these things that you can try. Yoga Nidra. So Yoga Nidra is not a movement. Yoga Nidra is a deep rest practice. So you basically get on your bed or your couch or your floor, wrap yourself in blankets and pillows, get as comfortable as you can, and all you do is listen along. And there's usually a body scan involved where you go through the different parts of the body and just feel the body breathing. And then there's usually some kind of a visualization. Perhaps you go on to your favorite happy place like Happy Gilmore. And what ends up happening is you go through the layers of consciousness to this place where you get to deep, deep rest. So even though you're staying awake, well, honestly, a lot of people do fall asleep, and that's fine. But the goal is to stay awake and let the body fall asleep. And then now that you've learned to experience rest, what deep rest feels like, it's easier for you to rest at night. It's easier for your body to go back to that place where it was earlier in the day when you practiced. That's the only thing about Yoga Nidra. Don't do it at the end of the day, unless maybe you do one in your bed and then immediately go to sleep, because it does act like sleep, and it will potentially make it harder for you to fall asleep because you'll be given energy. Magnesium, and people fight about the magnesium all the time. Honestly, some of the online fights are ridiculous. What's the best type? The type that works for you. Doesn't matter. I had one that was like, this is the best one. I needed to take it. And I took it for, I don't even know how long. And it gave me diarrhea. And I took it anyway because it was the best. And then eventually I just decided, this is ridiculous. What am I doing? And I turfed it. And I started taking the Jameson brand extra strength, which is 500, or it's 250 per pill. So 2 pills is 500. And then I got the other one that's 100. So I take 2 of the 250, and then I get my 600, and I take it right before lights out, and it helps the muscles relax. And it's really good for your heart, your cardiovascular health. It's one of the main nutritional deficiencies that we find a lot for women that are in perimenopause and menopause. It's one of the first things to dip for whatever reason. So, and it's not going to hurt you. Like, as I said, even if you end up taking too much, the worst you'll get is some runs, and that's not fun, but it's not terminal. So experiment with it, and don't put up with it if you take something that doesn't that doesn't suit you. Try a different brand. They're all a little bit different. I've had the best luck with Jameson brand everything, but there are other options. So, and it doesn't have to be the most expensive kind. That's not necessarily the one that's going to be best. The one that's best is the one that works best for you. Holy basil is one of my favorite things on the planet. It's actually the only one that I don't cycle because it's been used in Ayurvedic for so long. It's like thousands of years. It's a digestive tonic. It calms your whole nervous system. It's really good for sleep. Um, you may have acid reflux from this if you have had acid reflux before. So watch out for that one, because that is one thing that I have noticed when I'm taking it more. But I kind of take it now after it's been a couple of years. I take it more like it's on demand, where I take one probably most days, especially like when I'm busy doing this kind of thing with the conference. And then when I go to bed, if I'm still feeling like I'm a little bit high strung, I'll take another. I like AOR. They're the best company. And there's links for that. I have a coupon code for it if you want. And then progesterone. Do go get yourself a prescription if you've been having trouble with sleep. Micronized progesterone comes in 100 milligrams. The pills are little round pills. They couldn't actually find one, but it's like a little, looks like a pearl. So annoying, really hard to swallow, but it works. And I've had women go up to 3 a night, so 300 if they had endometriosis or another painful condition in the body that was related to having too much estrogen and not enough progesterone. Bring up the progesterone, then the balance is a little bit better and things go back to being more calm. Progesterone is not as hard to get as estrogen. Progesterone has never been linked to cancer as far as I know. What has been is the progestin, the synthetic hormone. But even that gets vilified, and it's so sad because it's wonderful. I have a progestin only pill that I love. It stopped my period and it stopped the endometriosis from growing. It's amazing. And I don't want to ever have to not stop taking it until my period stops. So this is a tactile exercise. If you wake up in the middle of the night, this is why I like to have a really soft blanket close by. And I'm just thinking, right? So I'm thinking about tomorrow and what's for dinner and that stupid thing I said or that stupid thing another person said to me. If you can take your scarf or that soft item, that blanket, whatever it is, the pillow that you like, and just hold it between your fingers and just feel the texture. Tell yourself whatever you would tell a child, like it's all going to be okay. I'm sorry that so and so was mean to you. You're going to be fine and everything's all right. And tomorrow you can have an ice cream after dinner if you want. Like whatever you tell a kid, tell that to yourself and see if you don't quiet the mind and feel more reassured and fall back asleep. It sounds silly, but it works. Case number 3. So this is a sudden anxiety. This is where you just suddenly wake up one day and you have anxiety. Maybe you've never had it before, which I feel sorry for you then, because I believe that for myself personally, the only good part about it was that I knew what it was. So I knew what to do. This is a 50-year-old female postmenopause. So she has finished menopause. So she's in post and now suddenly having anxiety. That doesn't always happen. A lot of the time, post is the more comfortable time, but 20% of the people do have trouble come up after they're done menopause. So it may, you're not imagining it that it came out of the blue. This happens. I hear this all the time. You could have high pulse, racing heart, palpitations, a feeling that you can't catch your breath, a sense of doom, like, oh man, something is just going to fall off, like something is happening. Or a sudden urge to use the bathroom, either number 1 or number 2, or you just suddenly really feel like you have to go right now, or something's going to happen. When you understand that these are common signs of anxiety, it can be very liberating because then well, all right, there's something you can do about it. So this is the alternate nostril breathing. This is a somatic practice. No, it's yoga. Thank you. Somatic is yoga. Somatic means mind body, like you feel your body. All right. Touching the third eye. Now it seems really silly, but that the pituitary gland is there, right? And it's kind of like the master gland that tells everybody else what to do in your body, all the other glands, and ovaries are glands and hormones are produced in the glands. So when we push on our third eye, it tells the nervous system to calm down. It's time to relax now. Use your thumb on your right nostril. I'm using my right hand. Use your ring finger on your left nostril and you just go back and forth. So if you're going to start, you exhale on the left, inhale on the left. Exhale on the right, inhale on the right. Exhale, inhale. Exhale, inhale. Exhale, inhale. And people ask me, like, the hand stuff, it feels silly. You'd end where you started, exhaling on the left side. You don't actually have to use your hands. You can use the power of your mind. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. It's hard, but it's possible and it's excellent practice. It's excellent for your brain. So these are just some general yoga practice all over that would be good for most people in postmenopause. Pigeon pose, you see how complicated that looks? Honest to God, no wonder people think they can't do yoga. Just lay on your back and hug your knee into the chest. And then do the other side. Hug the knee into the chest. That's all. You know, we make it too complicated. And then child's pose, just curl up in a little ball. You can do that on one side or the other. It doesn't have to be onto the head. You don't have to have the head on the floor. You don't have to have the hands close together. You don't have to have the ankles close together. You can have the knees spread apart. Experiment with that. It's excellent for comforting and calming you, especially if you've been upset about something. Downward dog, some people are like, I really can't do that because I can't get my head below my heart. And, if you've had low blood pressure or high blood pressure, I think that could be, potentially an issue. It might make you dizzy, might be uncomfortable. So just do it up against the wall. The whole point with the downward dog, if you look, is what's happening on the back of her legs. We're really stretching out those hamstrings. What's happening on the front with the arms, it's really not the point. The point is to be moving through the whole back body and stretching it out like a line. You could do that straight up against the wall. You don't have to go upside down at all. And then bridge pose, the same thing. Like if you see the first picture, she's up just a little bit. It doesn't have to be this big, tremendous lift. It can just be a little bit of a tilt. Just a tilt of the pelvis gets you back in your body, and it's really good. It's like a little low back rub. And then squeezing mula bandha. Why would you squeeze mula bandha? We're lifting the perineum. If you think about, like, if I was a dolly, I usually have a doll around, but I don't see it right now. Okay, but if I was a dolly, I'd have my body, and then I'd have my arms and my legs and my head. That's basically what humans are. So our bottom, is our root. That's how we experience the ground, right? When we sit down, we sit on our bottom. So this is really going to help ground you and keep you in your body. If you're not really sure how to lift the perineum, just use a finger in the vagina and squeeze, and you'll feel it. You feel it lift. It pulls up, right? Opens when you breathe in, lift when you breathe out. Just gently squeeze. You're not trying to win any awards here. A gentle squeeze will do more than overexerting yourself. And then specific treatments for anxiety. You've got mindfulness. People think it's turning off your thoughts. We have like so many convoluted, weird ideas about stuff that is just like, it's a blockade. It's like, oh, only certain people can do that. That's not for everyone. Oh, yeah, that's a bunch of bull. Mindfulness is about labeling that thought. Okay. So I just had a thought, oh, I wonder if I could have some chocolate. Oh, when I'm done, I can go and have some chocolate. That'll be nice. That's the future. Oh, shoot, I wonder if my friend watched Holly's presentation. I'm not sure if she did. That's worrying. Oh, I wonder if I finished that thing. Oh, did I pay that bill? Oh, again, I'm worrying. I'm either in the future, I'm in the past. I'm worrying about something. It's not happening right now. And the whole point to labeling these things isn't so much that we're just being a jerk and labeling our mind. It's that we're trying to detach from the story we tell ourselves about our lives, which will really bring us down, especially with anxiety, right? What the hell is wrong with you? You're anxious. What's that? That's anxiety. It's a feeling. It should pass. Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't seem so bad. No, it doesn't. But if you're labeling it like, oh my God, and what is this and what is that, and you're just worried about everything and compounding your worry on top of your worry, when you identify that as, oh, I'm worrying, you can let that go a little bit better. And the more you practice it, the easier it is. The other thing is counseling. People have an interesting idea about therapy as well. Like when I was in the yoga therapy program at Mount Royal, I remember talking to one of my favorite teachers who said, he doesn't even really talk about the yoga therapy anymore because people get all, ooh, I don't want a therapist. Like that's scary or weird or hard, or I'm going to get judged, or it's going to be expensive. Find a counselor that knows about perimenopause or postmenopause. Someone who understands menopause is really important. And then talk about how you're feeling. And we just talked to Jane on Monday about most counselors will offer a sliding scale. And in my experience, if you're a good patient, if they know that they can count on you to do your homework, they might give you a bit of a discount because they want to work with you and help you to get better because you're going to do the work. And I'm not a counselor, but I am trained in talk therapy. So that is part of what I do on my one-on-one sessions. And then your family doctor will likely prescribe you antidepressant, but that's okay. An antidepressant has been shown to be effective for us in peri and postmenopause, and it has also been shown that we won't need it after a certain point. It's a temporary stopgap solution to the hormonal chaos that happens for us. And when the hormones settle down, we don't need it anymore and we can wean off of it. So, suffering is optional. Would it be great if they automatically started with hormones like progesterone? Yeah, that would be great, but they don't. So if you start with an antidepressant, you're kind of meeting them where they are at. And then, of course, if you really want to get the progesterone, make sure that you're not getting a synthetic progestin, because progestin is great, like for me to stop my period, but it doesn't give the same benefits for mood and anxiety. You want something that's going to help that ratio again, right? Bringing the estrogen down. When you bring the progesterone up, you have a smaller gap between the two, and then you're healthier overall. It's not as hard to get progesterone as it is to get estrogen, by the way. How can you tell if your anxiety is related to low progesterone? Well, like one hint is breast tenderness. If you're having breast tenderness, that can be a sign of having too much estrogen again. And like for myself in my mid 30s, I didn't realize that that was even happening. And I developed a breast lump, my first one, and I had to have it removed, and it was benign and everything's fine. But once I realized that, I was relieving the discomfort with evening primrose. And evening primrose, I get the Jameson brand again, and it works really, really well for me. It's very helpful. I don't need it anymore, but while I needed it, it was really great. And I guess the only thing you have to worry about for that is the sourcing. I've heard sometimes if you get Chinese evening primrose, it can have some pollution issues. So watch out for that. Increased anxiety is often due to low progesterone, so you can increase your progesterone naturally. So you give your body the ingredients that it needs to make hormones. So if you think of it like this, like you're going to the cupboard and you're opening your cupboard and you want to make progesterone, you need vitamin C, you need vitamin B6, you need magnesium, and you need zinc. So we already talked about magnesium. I'm not supplementing with zinc myself. I've tried it before and I didn't notice a difference, so I stopped. That's how I do supplements. But the vitamin C does make a difference, and I always make sure that I have a multivitamin that has some vitamin B in it as well. And I want everyone to go and to join the School of Perimenopause. Watch the Hormone Nurse lecture if you want to know about how to help yourself with vitamins. It's at the free level. It's excellent. And then these two tinctures can be used on a rotation. So again, like with the mushrooms, with the tinctures, the long-term studies of the usage of this, how is it affecting us? We don't really know exactly. And I also feel like when I take something continuously, my body sort of gets used to it and it stops working. So I cycle. Right now I am doing chaseberry. So when the chaseberry is done, the bottle is done, I will switch to Shisandra. And it has a little dropper in it, and I just put it in my morning water. I have a cup of water every morning and I put that in there. And these are the ingredients again. These are boosters for your vitamin C, and they give you the ingredients that your body needs to make the progesterone. They aren't a hormone supplement. They're more like a vitamin and mineral supplement. So what do you do when the anxiety sneaks up, right? Because all of a sudden you're feeling anxious. And I really encourage people to talk to each other, talk about what you're going through. Even though a lot of us have been trained like, keep it to yourself. That's annoying. That's not positive. Try to put a sunny look. No one wants to hear your problems. Everybody's going through hard times. I think that's garbage. I think that keeps us sick. So find people to talk to. And it's nice if you can talk to other women. We talk about that a lot in the group. So putting it all together for yourself. So you pick which woman you are or which combination you are and start putting yourself together a self-care checklist. So where do you start at the beginning? The beginning is the comprehensive symptoms list. So if you haven't downloaded that, there is a link. I'll make sure to put it in with the information on here, but this is the comprehensive symptoms list. It's all written over because I use this to design my my book that I'm writing right now. And it's a really good written reminder of exactly what's going on. Now, it does have two things missing. Breast tenderness is missing and weight management is missing. So those things can be added on the bottom, but then it shows you your check marks will move from the right-hand side as in always, I'm always having headaches, to slowly but surely, sometimes or never. That's how you know you're getting better and how you know which symptoms to work on as your next priority when you're picking something new. You only do one thing. So let's say you decided to try Shasandra. You use Shasandra for 3 weeks. You fill out the list again. You see if it says it's better or worse. If it's worse or if it hasn't changed, give up on the Shasandra, and then you can try the chaseberry, or you can try adding the vitamin C. You do this for everything. You don't try adding in a bunch of stuff all at once. You won't know what's working for you and what's not working for you. And then talk to your partner if you have a life partner. Make sure that they know what's going on for you, or a trusted friend, because we do need to feel heard, and it makes a really big difference. And if you are living with a male person and going through perimenopause or postmenopause, I do have a class for that, how to talk to them about what's happening. And it's designed so that you guys can watch it together and then stop the video and talk about the things that I said. And it has been eye-opening for the people that have watched it. It's a different way of communicating with men. And sometimes it comes across more easily, authoritative, that someone other than your wife is telling you that they're going through this. So I wanted to thank everybody for coming to the conference. And, it's been it's been a real struggle. This one's been really hard for me. And I've got a lot going on, but I really love doing it, and I'm looking at different ways of doing it next year so that I can continue doing it and stay my, as least stressed out as I possibly can and still be able to provide this stuff, because the videos that I have created this year with this conference are definitely the best. So these are different ways that I can help. In a private session, we go deep. It's really all about you. It's led by the client. So I go where you want to go, and it works every time. I haven't had a client yet who did the whole system with me and that it didn't work. Classes, if you just want to take that one class about how to talk to men about, I think it's called perimenopause for male partners. And you can just take that one class, or you can join the School of Perimenopause and you can take all of the classes. If you take gold, then you get everything. And I think there's 130 items on there now. Remember, our stress level is up. So Yoga Nidra is your friend, and listening tracks will make you feel better. And I'm on Insight Timer as Jessica Myrna Ray. You can find me there easily enough, and I can send you the link if you want. And then the School of Perimenopause in general is just a great hub for all kinds of things. And these videos will eventually be housed on there as well. But not in the meantime right now. They're just for the people that are contributing to the conference. But last year's and the year before are already there, available at the gold level. So just quickly, some final thoughts. All these visuals were made by Canva, and I'm just blown away by this one. I think it's just gorgeous. I don't know if this was a picture of an actual woman or if it's just beautiful. So we have our own inner wisdom. All of us do. That's something we know for sure. So maybe it's a lot of stuff for you in this conference and this presentation, and it can be a little overwhelming. One of the things you can try is making friends with that symptom. Invite them in. Hello, brain fog. Hello, anxiety. Welcome to my day. What have you got to show me? What am I supposed to be learning here? And then I myself was surprised by how much I had to learn from my anxiety. One of the things I hadn't realized was that I have a lot on my plate. I basically have 2 or 3 different jobs with everything that I do. And a lot of it is one-on-one with clients. So I have to be there at a certain time, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. And that's a lot of pressure. And I realized I was putting that pressure on myself, and that it's optional. I don't have to do it under that pressure. I can remove that pressure. And once I realized that, because I had invited that anxiety in and asked some questions, it helped a lot. So relaxing the muscles and the mind makes a huge difference. And trying to remind yourself to be grateful, right? Like today I was having a hard time, and getting this conference all together, it's a lot of work, and I was feeling pretty discouraged. But then I started focusing on, like there's food in my fridge, and I actually ordered dinner today and had it delivered so that I could eat before I did this presentation. And I have people that wanted to see what was going on and supported me wholeheartedly, and some other people that didn't. But I'm choosing to focus on the people that did. And like learning to relax is also a skill that you can get better at, but it is something that I had to learn. That's why I got into restorative yoga first, then yoga nidra, then yin yoga. They're all like basically rolling around on the floor or being still and taking a nap, but they're a practice, so I had to do it. Um, so asking questions of the symptom can really help you to feel what you need to learn from that, right? Anxiety also taught me only do one thing at a time. So when I find myself like multitasking now, I'm like, oh, I'm doing it again, right? And I have my list so I can just write something down and I'll do it later, instead of trying to do everything all at once and breaking my phone and falling down and all the other wonderful things that I've done in the last few years. Um, so I think that's just the end of that. That's thank you. There we are again. We had Anna, Barb, and Claire, or no, Anna, Barb, and Carol, ABC. So that's the ABCs of brain fog, sleep issues, and anxiety, all of which, if you don't do anything about it, can really interfere with the quality of your life. The quality of your life can really be affected negatively by those three symptoms. And if you start doing anything proactively to help with those symptoms, you will feel better. That's why, I love the 21 days to fix your sleep, because it's simple, it's easy, it's a follow along, it's a half an hour a day, it gets you ready for sleep. It teaches you how to do yoga, like how to do real yoga, feel your body and enjoy what's happening, and enjoy that movement that you have, but it's not high pressure. Okay. So, we're a couple minutes over, but that's okay, as long as I hope that everybody hung in there with me. And I really appreciate and I'm honored that my speakers came to speak to you guys, and everybody did just an amazing job. And I hope you spread the word about this series for the conference and get more people to view it, because I would love to have hundreds of people taking advantage of these videos and not just a handful, because it is high quality content. And like one of our ladies had a PhD, like teaches at the university level. This is not it's not for the faint of heart or the high school dropout who taught themselves on Reddit about hormones. Okay, that's enough of that then. I will talk to you all soon in the group, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.